Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again, and it seems like Shield Charge is still pretty damn playable. Good maybe couple years back or so, I made a initial Shield Charge Facebreaker build that was non-crit and ended up being pretty popular. It was a Slayer version, it had really good clear speed, really good AoE, and it was just one of the best versions of Shield Charge to come out when it first was changed, for Shield Charge that is. Ever since then, Shield Charge did receive a few little adjustments and nerfs and all that, and the area has never been quite the same. That said, I am trying to build a Shield Charge crit Facebreaker character here for the second time or third time around, except this time I am trying to take more preventative measures for the reflect side of things, and it seems to be still going pretty well. I've got a lot more attack speed than I ever did on the other character, and similar sorts of area, but it is worse. That said, when you have the right amount of damage and the right attack speed, Shield Charge still ends up clearing pretty damn well and pretty efficiently. Now, the area doesn't explode everything on the screen, and the single target is probably a bit worse than it used to be, but it is still very adequate, and you can see that you can still do some single target with the assistance of your 4-link War Chief, as well as just slamming constantly in with your Shield Charge. It's not the greatest, but it does work well enough. And the clear speed, I've been probably pulling 300 to 400 mil in an hour while getting to level 85, and it's probably been one of my fastest clear speed characters this league so far. Maybe not the best, maybe not the most efficient, but very fast for some of these maps, and still pretty damn good. I'm still figuring out a good bit about the character, because solving reflect is kind of a bitch even as Slayer, with the 50% reflect reduction and the 25% from Yuggle. That 75% is still not enough to prevent one-shots while wearing Abyssus as a crit Facebreaker character. So I still have to do other things like use Fortify on my setup. I can't go all damage gems in my setup either. I probably will have to start using a Basalt Flask awfully soon, and if that doesn't fix it, I will probably have to run a Taste of Hate, maybe even swap into a Lightning Coil. I'll show you what my setup entails in just a couple of minutes, but for now, just showing you some fairly fun clear speed nonsense here, because there is, you know, some good single target examples here, but then some pretty crazy maps we come into in the later half, as well as this Poor Joe's, which I was a bit scared of given I'm wearing Abyssus, but nothing really hurt me too bad, and we one-shot everything. It was fairly damn quick and clean, even at level 80 I think it was. You can see the Reflect guy here almost kills me, and that was a bit of a problem. At this point I'm not too bad against Reflect, but obviously it can still hurt, especially depending on the range that you charge your Shield Charge at, because the further you charge, the more damage it's going to do, and when you're up close and right next to something, it'll do only like 50% damage. This is the super crazy shaped beach I ran with a few sextants double beyonded. A lot of fun. I do recommend trying something out like this yourself, and you can see the clear is pretty damn interesting and nice, and can be good for the one-shots against some of these Beyond bosses when you wind it up just right. But yeah, it's going to take a bit of a work to fix Reflect, and I'm still sorting that out, but overall it seems like Crit Facebreaker can definitely be a build and something you can play. Whether or not it's worth it compared to non-Crit Facebreaker, I'm still not sure. I haven't actually run the numbers at all on Path of Buildings or looked at what you can and can't do, but previously Crit Facebreaker Shield Charge was a great build. I don't know if it's got the damage yet. Currently, all I can say is Crit Facebreaker definitely has the damage, the movement speeds, the clear speeds, and the single target to be an actual build. The problem is then balancing the defense while still scaling your offense and having enough offense for single target for the end game. I'm not too convinced that the end game or the tier 16s and all that will be very good, because it's basically going to be drop a War Chief Totem and run around in circles simulator for the most part. Unless, of course, we try out a different single target like Cyclone or Infernal Blow, and I'll definitely keep my eyes on that as I progress in the character, because it could be worth swapping into, but for now I am trying to just Shield Charge and let the War Chief do its thing, though it can only do so much in a 4-link, and getting crit on that 4-link is pretty damn hard as well. This is just a little bit of an example of my first or second Atsiri run. Overall, single target, not too bad, but obviously it's going to take a lot more more of this sort of thing for Uber if we get that far with this character. So that's about it for the clips. I do want to show you how I've built the character so far, how you build crit Facebreakers, because not too many people know about the amulet that actually lets you be crit, and why we're taking claw nodes to begin with. So our character here is a level 85 at this point duelist called Fisting Your Economy, largely because people have been complaining about economy and all that, and I knew that using this amulet is going to be an unhappy outcome for a lot of people, but you know, it was a build that was inspired by someone in chat, and I just feel like I had to try it out because it was the next funnest thing I could possibly think of doing. So basically, crit Facebreakers are built around Rigvold's Talisman. Now you can get the divination cards from Care Blade, the unique underground river map, and they're not too uncommon. It's definitely farmable, and it's doable to get. There was a good, 20, 30 of these amulets out there. It wasn't too popular, but ever since asshole flippers are going to come into this, it's going to be more expensive. That said, I'm not sure you absolutely have to go crit. You could very well go non-crit Facebreakers and still have a fairly successful character, I think. But I'll explore that in probably by the next video for the path of buildings. At the moment, all you need to know, you start out with 7 crit with this thing, and then you can use claw nodes to get attack speed, damage, and crit. So the crit multi doesn't apply, unfortunately, but the crit does, and the damage and the attack speed does. So a lot of these nodes become really good, and then you get a bunch of crit over here as well. So all in all, it does let you build into crit a bit more, well, doably, but it is still really hard to fill out your crit and crit multi, which is why you absolutely have to use Abyssus. Abyssus over here is worth roughly, I don't know, let's say 80% of our damage, because it's a lot of crit multi and a lot of flat fizz. So we have 16.7 average here, take Abyssus off, 6k average. It's an absolutely must-have item for any Facebreaker build. And if you're unaware with how Facebreakers work, it's unarmed, so you don't have to weapon, and you scale off of your Facebreakers for up to 800% more unarmed physical damage. So you basically have almost no physical damage to start with because you have no weapon, and then you have to use flat physical to add damage to your fists, essentially, that then get scaled by 800% physical damage. So flat fizz and steel rings across the board are very important. That's why you wear Abyssus, and if you weren't wearing this amulet, you'd get flat fizz there. And then you just get a bunch of fizz here, and you try and scale crit multi, and attack speed, because actual damage nodes at this point aren't very strong anymore, since you get 800% over here. You can imagine grabbing a 20% damage node over here really isn't that big when you've already got 800. So you do want to focus on attack speeds, and once you crit and crit multi. Whereas if you're not crit, let's just say, you're then focusing largely on attack speed, and then of course more physical damage scaling as well, all across the board. That said, it's only general physical damage, so physical damage or holding a shield, melee damage, physical damage, that type of stuff, because you're obviously not holding a weapon, so a lot of stuff will not apply. Like, let's say, these here, one-hand melee weapons, physical, don't apply. None of the weapon-specific stuff does, so it's kind of hard to fill out damage, which is why crit ends up being a pretty damn good option for your damage scaling. And then, of course, we also have a Lycosidae, which gives us hits can't be evaded, because without that, our accuracy is kind of junk, and it's going to be hard to scale that accuracy when you've only got really 2 items to work with that you can actually fit accuracy onto, as well as the shield, I suppose, if you get one there. So all in all, it becomes kind of a tough character to build when you have to fit in 1, 2, 3, 4 uniques. 4 uniques with almost no life, this one having the only bit of life on there. Meganoids, also a bunch of flat fizz, but it's not strictly necessary. We could drop this at this point. 16.7 average, goes down to 14k. That's not a big deal. You could get a life belt over here, and I may well do that. But all in all, that does mean you pretty much have to have a strong resist astral plate and a good strong pair of boots, or maybe even rings, to have lots of resists, as well as maybe something from Jules. Let's see, I think I had one around here somewhere. This one, bit of resist, and a bit from the passive tree as well, if you can get it. Overall, it is a bit of a hard character to build, and it won't be very cheap to do it right, but I'm still figuring it out and gonna let you know if it's worth it in the end, in a couple more days. For now, it's been fun, it has been worth it, but whether or not it's worth doing when you don't have too much currency, we'll have to wait and see. Currently running a Series Promise, a Diamond Flask, and a Witchfire for our vulnerability. I will probably end up dropping this so I can get a base ult or a Taste of Hate because I still need more help with Reflect. Currently, I have, like I said, this 50% over here and this 25 over here, and that's still not enough to not one-shot myself most of the time, thanks to Abyssus, so I will probably need more assistance there, and I'll let you know how that goes. Otherwise, I'm just running Arctic Armor, Herald of Ash, and ideally, I think I will run a Blasphemy, Vulnerability, or Assassin's Mark when I get rid of one of these. Aside from that, I will go over my links over here. So we have a Ancestral War Chief attached to Maim, so he gives us the Maim debuff, and then Melee Fizz and Conk Effect. He ends up hitting pretty damn hard, fully buffed, and he's a lot of our single target damage, while our Shield Charge over here is attached to primarily, let's say, Melee Fizz, then Crit. Those are probably the 3 most important links. After that, I'd say you want Fortify, then you want damage on full life, then you want increased area. Now, Fortify, we kind of need that for Reflect as well, and my damage is good enough that I don't need anything else, but you can drop something like a Ruthless into there, or a Brutality, but if you use Brutality, then you're not getting any damage from its Eerie Flask, and at the moment, that seems to be worth it. Damage on full life, we are pretty much always on full life because even with Blood Rage, it starts to degen a bit, obviously, but once you start getting to Overkill and Brutal Fervor over here, you will be at almost 100% life all the time, and that will count as damage on full life, as being on full life. So that's currently the links, and you can use faster attacks in your links until you have a lot of attack speed, but at this point I have a shitload of attack speed thanks to my jewel sockets, some attack speed there, some attack speed all across the board there, a bit there as well. So that's where we're getting a lot of attack speed, and I am dropping faster attacks by the time I get that. Until you do, then I do recommend using faster attacks. For now, though, I think that's all I've got to say about this character. It's been pretty damn fun, very, well, enjoyable and worth playing if you've got the currency to spare for it. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe try the non-crit versions or explore those options and see if they're worth doing yet. I will have a more conclusive answer for you guys in the let's say next couple days to figure that out for you. And as far as the tree goes, I'll upload that. I haven't actually done any path of building with like skills, items, damage. Don't really care too much about that yet. I will show you the tree though. It is about 200% life, and still figuring that one out as well. So you want to copy it, there it is. But for now, I think that's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.